All right, you guys get ready to get rolling?
Yeah, let's send it down range.
You're listening to the Modern Dad Experience.
Cheers in, boys.
Clickety clickety, fellas.
I changed it up today from bourbon. Came out with a new berry mixer for white alcohol. I highly recommend it. Hit the shelf soon.
Nice. Taste the mountains. Is that what the? No, is that what?
Cool as a mountain stream, I think is what it used to be.
What's up, guys? We're full swing of April. What's going on? It's
Yeah,
been nice
buddy.
in the neighborhood.
The weather's right. I put up a rope swing today in my tree. It's going to be glorious.
Are you having kids sign waivers before you get on that thing? Oh, okay.
No, I just hang it up real high in the tree so they can't get to it unless I'm home.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah. Took a little walk this morning. Went to church. I've had a great Sunday.
Whoa, I
Saturday
like
had
it.
some sports games. You know, there's churches right around here. I just ride my bike to a couple, see which one fits my morality the best.
Okay. Nice.
That's great. Yeah, no, pretty good little Sunday over here. Not much to speak of. Had a couple birthday parties, Girl Scouts, soccer and volleyball are in full swing. So we had multiple games this weekend. They all got in, which was fantastic. A bunch of W's, which is also fantastic. But yeah, ready to go, spring.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Loving the weather, loving being outside. Kids, we're just always around the neighborhood, either walking or riding scooters, whatever. It's great, great time.
Yeah. We had the shrimp boil this weekend, too. I saw you that yesterday, Levi.
Well, it wasn't shrimp, it was crawfish.
Thank
It
you.
was crawfish, and just let's let the record straight. I would have loved to have had some crawfish. More than I mean, we used to have it down at Old Miss all the time, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Don't get a chance to get it around here, and I do appreciate Brett for thinking about me, but failing to execute. He sent a text that really, with no context, was like, "Tyler, let's go," and so I thought he literally sent it to someone else, and it wasn't for me. And then hours later, when I'm taking my evening walk in the park, it's well after dark, he texts me a picture of the crawfish table, and he's like, "Oh, I thought I was supposed to send this with it," and I was like, "Yeah, it looks delicious. Would have been there."
Oh
Well, I
my
was saying,
gosh.
here's a picture of the boiled Tyler's. Let's go. And I forgot to send the most important part.
Yep. So thank you for that. I mean, not really, but it is what it is.
It is a very southern thing. I love it,
It is.
Yeah.
And it's cool, too, because you can you drink while you're doing it if you choose to, but you kind of space it out so you're not, like, getting hammered and you're eating the food's not super heavy. So there's some longevity to it, which is kind of nice.
Yeah,
I
it's a
picked up,
whole
yeah,
afternoon thing.
yeah.
Unless you don't get the invite over to Jimmy, and then it's
Right. Right.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
He wears that Old Miss hat.
Yep.
All right.
All right, we were talking on first impressions or our first time through either a sports technique or whatever. Brett, what were you talking more about?
Well, what I noticed is, like, when I showed my kids the first time at a sport, the first crack at something, I realized that they take that first tip, that first words, first experience, and kind of hold to it like glue until something better comes along that changes it, right? And what I noticed was a neighbor and his son had shown my little guy a couple tips on how to swing a baseball bat for the first time. And what they told him was so clutch that he's now has this really sweet swing, and I can see him when he practices. He focuses on these two little moves, and it was the original two moves that he was shown. And I would have never known to show him these. I would have never had this idea. But I guess my overall point is whether it's like even styles of reading or just habits when you wake up with a routine, it's like some of those first things we show them and get them to understand and condition is it's just so long-term beneficial. And I know this probably sounds like common sense, but watching them do that just keeps replaying in my mind about how that plays into so many other things. So now when I approach different things, I'm like, man, don't just jump into it. Like, really think of a way to get his first step into this new task. Even like going, hey, kids, you want to go to church? No, I don't want to go to church. So I'm trying to think of different angles on how I can make church a little more fun, right? Like, how do you do that?
Well, I want to circle back around. One of the most interesting points of one of the most interesting points of your story is that your neighbor showed him that technique or that skill, and I think it talks about the tribe mentality and the importance of a dad's club or this podcast where you can draw on a network,
Yeah.
because you basically taught Clay how to ride a bike because you would just kind of it's kind of comical if you think of it like a cartoon. It's Brett just going back and forth every so often, like, gotta do this, gotta do that, and then like 2 weeks later, Clay's riding a bike because he listened to like the little the little techniques things that you had, and I didn't have those, right? So I couldn't show him those things because I didn't have them. And so I think it's cool. I think it's the purpose of having a network of dads.
I agree. It's a great point. There's a
Uh,
lot of
I'll,
things that have trickled down that I forget about.
yeah, but I'll touch on just Brett's story a little bit, just from a coaching standpoint. When I hear something like that, and you had said the word habit, and really everything is a habit. Winning is a habit. Losing is a habit. And from the coaching side of things, if you teach that proper technique early on, then there's less chance of that child or kid or whoever getting into bad habits and doing things wrong and having to retrain their muscle memory, retrain their muscles. So I think it's important to try to get that technique down on early, and it's super important. You can't know everything to have a network that you can reach out to find the answers to.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all I got there.
love it.
That's phenomenal. That's awesome. As far as the church question, I don't know. I mean, when you figure it out, let me know because I'm searching
I
for
got
that.
it. I got
that
you. Tell them all about how scary and terrible the devil is.
yeah, no, I can tell you that
That's
doesn't
how
work.
that's how we learned, right? That's
Yeah.
how you're gonna go to the HE double hockey sticks and act like that.
Well,
I
maybe.
let him. I gave him a pencil and a pen last time we were there, and I was like, "Hey, draw that cross up there. Draw what you see." Um,
And you were in a Catholic church, so it was a crucifix.
yeah, I went to the Christian one at the end of our street. I really, yeah, I was raised Catholic, but I'm kind of all over the place. I'm not. I don't consider myself an atheist or anything, but like the more I look into all these different religions, I'm just kind of bewildered. Like, I mean, to each their own. But
Maybe how we get them involved is we say we're going for a bike ride with the neighbors and we're gonna go to a church together. Like
yeah,
make it into an event.
I mean, they have a Saturday event up there they talk about, but we went to a non-dom one. It didn't seem much different than a Christian church or whatever. But my whole basis is just about. I mean, I can teach my kids basic morality, but I feel like even me, when I listen to a sermon, sometimes I'm just like, and this is a great little change. It's 45 minutes to an hour. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to push this on anybody or anything. This is all about my own self. But yeah, I mean,
In
it's
3 weeks, Brett will be starting his own church.
it's oddly
Right?
enjoyable. I got to be honest with you, man. Somebody was talking recently. Life goes in phases, and I couldn't agree more. As some doors close and some doors open, it's amazing how they affect each other and lead back to each other. But yeah, and it's also a younger minister up here, which is kind of cool. So he's got a different approach than like an older guy. Sometimes I laughed like 5 times in church out loud. It was
So do you feel like this theme?
I mean,
You feel like this current was already there, or do you think it was brought to the surface by your dad's recent scare?
oh no, I've been looking for a church for a couple of years. I got
Okay.
real burnt out on the Catholic thing for all kinds of different reasons. I was raised that, and then they got their issues clearly. But as we still go to the Catholic Church, you know what I mean. I'm not like against it or anything. I'm just checking out other stuff in the area. I feel like it doesn't have to be about my guy's better than your guy or whatever, right? It's just again, it's about morality and like life lessons and sharing stories. And it's like an hour long, so it's just, and it's not like I do it every Sunday. I'm trying to do it as much as possible, but that doesn't happen very often. Let's stop talking about church now.
Well, one more little bit, and then we'll go on to something else. My
Kumbaya, my love. Sorry.
you're all over the place. This
He
is why I
will
call
raise you up on E. Sorry.
this is why I call you a big Ben. So a year ago, my sister joined the Catholic Church, and I'm a little bit jealous. I wasn't raised Catholic, but you know they whenever they're out of town, they can just walk into any Catholic church and they know what to expect, and you know it's
Yeah,
all one community.
their
But
God's
I
their God's
also
better than your God. Sorry.
all right, moving on. Core memories. What from your past or from your family, from your kids? What lives rent free in your mind? And the way I like to think of it is like someday I'll have cognitive decline and my memories will start to go, but that'll be one of the last memories. So, what in that theme? What would you say?
The severe beatings I used to receive.
Oh wow,
I'm just kidding. That's just a total
you
joke.
were flogged.
Not at all. No, it's probably part of the issue.
Yeah.
Core memories: building a clubhouse in the tree in my backyard, in my woods, because it felt so special to have your own little domicile and hideout. Right, like my kids build a fort in the house, and it's like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So treehouse was one of my personal core memories.
Sweet.
Yeah, core memories for me, I would say probably largely sports related. I remember a lot of the teams that I played on, just a lot of the various situations there, but also neighborhood. 4th of July was big. We'd always have bottle rocket wars over there in Warson Woods, some epic, just running around the creeks and doing all those things. So, I mean, growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in where, it was back in the day when you were outside till the lights were out and then street lights came on and you start hustling towards your home and I think those are probably the core memories that are best suited to what I'll be thinking of.
Let's double click on that bottle rocket war. Like, would you shoot them at each other? Like, tell me more.
Super dangerous. Yes, we would get all sorts of devices. I mean, we had a bottle rocket bazooka where we got like a 4-inch PVC and cut out a rectangle, and we would get like WD-40 and light it to light like an entire gross, and then come out
Bro,
of this thing.
what
I mean,
are
yeah,
you
we're
talking
talking
about?
Roman candles. I mean, we got burned and there would be 30 kids.
WD-40.
It was crazy. It was a crazy time. I mean, the cops would always come. We'd do it over there, which now Rowan Woods is what it used to be. There was a little school, and the neighborhood looked different. There was greenhouses. There was a lot of space for us to run to, so we didn't get caught. But the cops would come, and
Would you
it was
want?
loads of fun.
Would you wind like 20 of them together, put them in the tube, and then you use the WD?
So we would like put a whole gross in the tube, right? And so we had a rectangle cut out like where the wicks were. So you'd blow the WD-40 into it where there's like a whole gross of bottle rockets in that 4-inch tube. And
Bro.
you scorch it and they come out, 144 at a time. I mean, it looked like real warfare. I mean, there was smoke in the air, there was fires. It was so dangerous, but we survived it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if we had video cameras back when we were kids, oh my dear Lord.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
we were
it
never, ever, ever allowed to do that. Obviously, you don't do that with parents standing around, but like we were not.
mhm.
My grandfather, as a kid, had a cherry bomb or some firework go off, and he went to the hospital. He had a scar from here to his mouth. Crazy, crazy kid experience. Blew his part of his face off there, and because of that, my mom was like, "So I got that. Once you saw your grandpa's scar, you're like, I'm good."
so our bottle rocket wars were a lot more tame than that. We would light the wick, hold it a few seconds, and then throw it up in the air. But we did a few birthdays. We would take, what was meant to go in a tube and launch up into the sky. We'd take it out of the tube and light it, and then run away from it. And we thought we were in Apocalypse Now type of situation. It was nuts. And
So
then
do you
we
guys
built
go
so
ahead? Sorry.
and we built a bunch of potato guns out.
Do you guys let your kids shoot fireworks? Like I haven't let my kids shoot yet. We do some stuff out at the farm where we're not shooting fireworks again, but it's all adults. I'm just getting an idea. Like I let them throw the snap pop things.
Little snap
Yeah,
pops.
real
We do
basic stuff. But
we do sparklers, and you know what's funny is I used to be big into fireworks when I was a kid, and then, when I was a young bachelor, we did it. And then there was a point where I got to, like, what am I doing? Spending all this money for something I could go watch at an even higher level, or, which also brings, so 4th of July, we usually watch the fireworks downtown from Eagleton Courthouse. We get to go up.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that one time.
We get to go up there and watch it from above, right at eye level. It's pretty remarkable. But the most interesting part to me is when you're looking out before it even starts, you can see, both sides of the river. You can see for miles and miles and right, just all this area, which is a lot of commercial, but you see residential as well. And you just see everywhere there's fireworks. So, people in their homes doing these fireworks. And I always think to myself, isn't this such an ironic, comical scene that here we are celebrating America's birthday, right? We're celebrating the United States of America. And how are we doing it? We're spending billions of dollars on Chinese fireworks. And, literally, China makes... for 4th of July in the United States, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but if you think about it, it's staggering. Because most of that stuff is coming from...
Why can't we build it here?
Right, we can for $5 more per, that's the problem. But so this American holiday, we are essentially funding our enemy in grossly massive numbers. So that, I think about weird shit. I'm sorry.
If it's any consolation, it come across at $1,000. They sold it to you at $3,000. The markup stays in the U.S.
When I lived in the city,
probably.
When I lived in the city, I would never buy fireworks. I would just go outside and let my 4-4 ring out, and then just go back in and enjoy.
Don't be encouraging that type of behavior. Seriously, man. There's real consequences.
It's what you do in the city, bro.
There's real consequences to those.
You and your city past. That's not the first time he's brought that up.
My 4-4.
We hung out in the city this weekend. Good times.
We did. We were getting real.
Getting real. Sometimes you need to.
We'll be looking for our invite to your guys' 4th of July party next year, Jimbo.
Yeah, right. It's at my neighbor's house.
No, it's downtown at his wife's secret hookup.
All right, next topic for you. Let's talk about discipline. Jimmy, you had a topic that you wanted to bring up and talk more about.
Yeah, this has been real for me lately, and it's discipline kind of on two levels. We talked about it briefly earlier. So I specifically am talking about self-discipline, which I am struggling with as a father, as, a 48-year-old man who works and does multiple things. But I feel like when I was young, my dad really instilled it through athletics, but you got to put in the work. You got to work hard. You got to stay on task. You got to do the things you need to do. And I just find it harder and harder. And it might be something as simple as like a late night snack, or I just keep going to the cupboard. Then things that I know aren't helping me, but back in the day when I was really dialed in, I didn't have to worry about that because my self-discipline was so strong. I just struggle with it now. And bringing that to my family and my girls 9 and 7 are things where it's super important to, I think, instill that self-discipline in them. And, a broader subject, just discipline in general, they're getting to a point where they're understanding more and questioning more and being more assertive. And, they're still kids, though. We're here to protect them, and rules and all those things are a part of it. So, I'm just trying to find ways to get back on task, to stay more self-disciplined, do the things I need to do to keep moving forward. And then also, instilling those qualities in my kids, because at the end of the day, that's probably, in my opinion, one of the most important qualities that you could have in your life is a great deal of self-discipline. because you're going to be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Because sometimes it takes some pain and some hurt in order to get those things done, and then it takes a lot of self.
Well, you bring up a great point, man. Small discipline goes a long way. Little things go a long way, right? And I think your timing of your age and this topic is clutch because I struggle too, right? And I realize that not only will my kids pick up on everything good and bad I do, but at this moment in my 40s, this is pivotal to what my 50s and 60s look like, right? Which means maybe what my 70s and 80s could look like. So those small discipline things. So this is not the best example, but like at bedtime, my kids will be like, "Dad, why aren't you going to bed right now? We're going to brush. You want us to brush our teeth. Why aren't you brushing your teeth right now? What are you doing?" And I realized that my extra hour or two of staying up, great. To each their own. Go do it. Whatever. Right? Some people are night owls. Some people are early. Me personally, I'm realizing like the best possible thing for me is to do it when they do it, and stop finding stupid reasons to go eat something past that. Like if it's good for my kids, why would it be good for me, right? It's like it's just a habit and selfishness of bad whatever, but seeing it, owning it, and realizing the effects it has is huge, right? So again, not the best example, but I'm trying to get better at being like, you know what? I'll brush my teeth with you, and they'll enjoy it more. And they're like, yeah, it is bedtime. Yeah, that's good. You're going to bed too, but you don't need. You know what I mean? It's. I get I'm an adult, but it's still like, how much does it affect them, and what's the gain for me? There's none. It's
Yeah,
just
you're both hitting on two things. Jimmy, you're hitting on modeling a behavior that you don't want them to pick up on, and modeling the right behavior. And then Brett, you're hitting on I lost my train of thought.
or like, you mean proof of concept, or is it actually physical doing?
Well, I guess you're hitting on like atomic habits of just go ahead and do it for the adult, not have separate set of rules for the adult type of thing.
On
What
certain things, yeah.
are you still doing your morning workouts? How did you how you got into a good rhythm with that?
Yeah, so I did it. No, I'm not, and it's deeply, deeply affecting me. Like without question, I'll happily admit it. I'm a happier person. I'm a better employee. I'm a better husband. I'm a better dad. I'm a better me, which affects all those when I go to my boot camp. And I haven't gone since October.
Oh wow.
Now it got real cold, so I'm not great in the cold, right? But I'm happy to admit that because I know I'm going back, and I know I'm desperate to go back. Like my brain, I'm going to start back up. I'm going to start back up tomorrow, and as soon as I kick it in, right? So now I'm living in this fear of starting because I've fallen off so hard. But it's like to Jimmy's point or your point, it's just a habit. It's like once you do. Like this morning, I got up and started walking, and it was like then I walked for over an hour and a half, and it was like once I left, it just hit me like, oh my gosh, what was I doing inside, staring at the wall, whatever, you know what I mean? But
I remember what you said that triggered something is that you're in your 40s, you're laying the infrastructure for your 50s, 60s, and 70s. I think that's really important because
oh,
generations of people have kind of fallen off the wagon per se in that time period, and then suddenly you become feeble in ripe old age.
when you go to these games, your kids' games, and you stand around and you look at some of our friends have parents show up, right? Sometimes my parents come or whatever. Some parents are jogging up to the field. Some parents are hobbling up to the field, right? Some parents don't come to the games. Some come in a walker. But my point is, I look around a little bit. It's like I'm going to be that guy soon. Someday my kids are going to be standing there, right? I'm going to be the old man at the game or whatever. And it 100,000% matters how your body forms over those critical years when you start to slump over, your knee gets injured or whatever. I'm not saying it's not easy, but we all know about the preventative game, just like anything else, right? So, and some of you sharing this with me about like, I watched, not my dad, but some of you sharing with me about how their dad was in top physical shape, all this, and now their dad's poor health, all those things that come with older age when you just let it develop naturally. But little things go so far and develop into such bigger habits. And talk is cheap and talk is easy. Action's everything, right? So putting that we all know the answers to the test. It's 5,000 years old. We've had the answers forever. It's just laying them out. So that discipline is everything. I can't wait to get back to my boot camp. Hopefully I'll have better news to report to you next week. But that boot camp thing sets my whole day, my whole week in tone because I come home,
God,
I'm
I
ahead
wish
of
it wasn't
everybody.
so early. I wish it wasn't so early.
You're coming,
I,
Jimbo. I can feel it.
I really might. I'm gonna have to adjust my whole routine of life in order to make that
And,
5:30 work.
that boot camp made me realize the teeth brushing thing at 9 o'clock is everything. Because you can't function in the morning if you don't get that sleep and clean your brain. You know what I mean? There's so much to be said for sleep. It's crazy, but I neglect it quite often.
Yeah, I think sleep is like the foundation of health, and then I like the phrase or the saying that health is wealth, right?
Yep.
Um, in order, like your whole ability to work or accomplish things or be independent is given or driven by the fact that you're healthy and able to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and the older I get, I still realize occasionally I need my folks, right? I need my advice occasionally, right? And you don't always get it. You don't always have it when you want it. But part of this leads to me being like, I either want to be there. I know I want to be there when they're older, but I either do things to be there or I don't. And even if I do those things, doesn't mean I'm going to get to be there. So increase your chances, up your odds, right?
It, 100%, and not just be there, but
Right,
be there
right.
and be able to
Cognitive.
function and enjoy. And I mean, I've seen it both ways. I've seen it both ways in my personal family. Um, we have my father-in-law is about as good a role model as you could possibly have when it comes to health and taking care of yourself and
Nice.
making the right choices. And he's, I can't thank him enough for what the impact he's had on my family. My kids, he had my kids eating avocados as infants. I mean, just good whole foods and really set the tone for their development. And he, I mean, he is just looks great, and he's at an age where he's still able to go out and ride bikes and hike and take care of the kids and do all the things. And it's a track record of really making the right choices that's allowed him to be in this place. And what an example to set for his family, for all of us. And I see something like that, and that's the blueprint,
Yeah,
right?
man. Imagine,
Make the right choices now so that you can enjoy those last years. And I mean, let's be honest, the end is not great for any of us. And it's nobody gets out of this thing alive. There is an end, but you want to try to maximize,
yeah. I mean,
maximize what you can do and for how long you can do it.
Jimmy, think about if you never saw that dude, or he was never in your world, right? I'm not saying you still wouldn't find that inspiration, but like that is part of what I'm saying, right? That guy in your world sets those little reminders. Like if he wasn't, the point is we can do that for other people, like he's doing for you. And
100%.
it's not in your face, but it's there, so you know. Next.
Brett's dialed in. He's like,
He's
I'm
like,
running this
boom.
show. Any wins, losses, or current events we didn't hit on yet?
Boy, I mean, wins, losses. I think I mentioned it earlier. Soccer started, volleyball started. We're doing golf. We're doing all sorts of things. But games started this weekend. We had 2 soccer games, both wins. Awesome. We had a win in volleyball. Awesome. The girls are, just really doing well with their sports, and it's super fun. It's a great way to start the spring. I mean, we're getting into. There's nonstop action. I mean, every night of the week, every day. Here we go. Which is, it's what I love. So it's okay. But
I got an interesting one for you guys. I don't know if it's interesting, but tell me what you think. It's like a win and a loss because my little guy, like I want him to play baseball, right? My theory is like there's a lot of sports he's not playing, right? And there's the ones that he is. I'm into too, right? So, but I'm letting him guide the choice. But he played baseball twice. I feel like it could be the sport that he does best at or whatever. He's still so young, so it's hard to tell, right? And I don't want to put that in his mind because he's still developing so much. But my fear was that he might not play this year. no big deal, not the end of the world. So I took it real slow. My wife was kind of like, don't push it. Let's enjoy the summer if he doesn't play. So, and I agreed with both, but I really want him to play for what I thought was all the right reasons. Because if he doesn't want to do it, if he gives himself a chance, great. Let's bail. Let's not do it, right? But at least see what you're capable of in this young age. And if you hate it, I'm not going to make you do anything. So the win was that he decided over time, and I slowly would ask him and talk about it and say, let me paint this picture. Let me paint this picture. What do you think? So he wants to play, right? So I'm excited that he wants to play, and he made that decision on his own. He ended up telling me he's scared to get hit in the face with the ball, which I didn't really take into consideration at first. He loves hitting, but not getting hit. So the loss is, and maybe it's not a loss, but I saw, I got him on baseball. It's going to be great. And then I remember opening up the book of all the things to do over the summer, and half of the book has astrology, has like building, has all this amazing science, learning, hands-on stuff. And part of me is like, great, you got him in baseball. That's phenomenal, right? I think there's a lot to learn there. But I started looking at all these other things in that catalog. I know I've seen the catalog before, how quick it goes in one part of my brain and out the other. But I feel like I'm negating some of these other hands-on technical things that maybe we can still get into in future years. But I guess my point is that there's so many great options out there. I wish I didn't let sports direct me so much. I wish I would give Ben an opportunity at some of these other things, and I still can. So anyways, I'll stop there.
No, that's great. I mean, sports I think has its place, but you always want your kids to be well-rounded, just as human beings, and so that is a good point that you make. I mean, I feel like a lot of those other things, why wait? You can start getting into that type of stuff now, on a personal level. But yeah, I mean, they didn't have all these options.
Dude, there's like jewelry making, and like, who am I to say that she can't go?
I mean, there's something for everybody now, which is great, but also, and I love that my kids do, and they try a lot of different things, and I think this is the time for all that, and then you figure out what it is you like, and you go with it.
Yeah, I don't. A couple thoughts there. I don't think you can go wrong with this on any front. So sports is both like exercise and also leadership and collaboration within a team, being part of something that's larger than yourself. So you can't really lose there. And then there are just so many different things that are interesting that kids can explore and get exposure to that you really can't run out of things to do. But I do think it's important we think about how much we throw on them and ourselves, because I was quite relieved, not relieved, but I appreciated COVID times when everyone was like running around the neighborhood, like obviously distancing and things like that, but it was also socially a good like step back from the rat race. So I don't know.
Amen. I like it.
Brett, if you wanted well-rounded exposure, you could come to Scouts.
I thought about that. So I'm just going to do my own Scouts. I'm going to do my own float trips, my own camping, my own fire starting. I'm just like golf. I'm not going to sign up for golf lessons anymore. I'm the golf instructor. I think we might be coming back to Scouts. I regret that year or so we've missed now, because the group, and there's a lot of really cool hands-on activities that I want them to experience. So I think it's a phenomenal group thing that I need to get back into. So anywho, can we talk about Doge?
You can talk about Doge. Go for it.
I don't know. I think anybody with too much power is that's not good, right? I'm just saying that's terrifying, and a lot of people are worried that they have too much power. I'm trying to talk about things that other people have expressed to me that's of a concern, right? My stance is I don't know what to compare that to. So many people have had so much power, we have no idea what the past administrations have had power to do and not do. So when we say this person has power, compared to who? Right? Compared to what? I'm not. So I will double down on that and say that I agree. There should be no oligarch or no pure power, but how do we undo this system where we're spending more money than we make? And why did it ever become okay for our country to operate in the red for year after year after year after year when we're the most
I
powerful?
mean,
And
do you really want the answer?
and are we
Do you
allowed
want
to
the
talk?
answer?
Are we allowed to
Do you
talk
want?
about this, or is this like white
We can
masculine?
talk about it, but do you want the answer?
Well, yeah,
Greed,
I'll take your answers.
greed. That's how it was allowed to happen, because those that have the power, they want to keep the power, they want to keep the money,
Okay,
and
so greed is
it's
no question, right? It's been a runaway freight train for years. So
yeah,
when you say that, my mind pivots to, yeah, these are billionaires making these changes. Well, I'm
yeah.
not going to send the trash man in there to make the changes. I'm not going to send. Maybe you could make some good changes. I'm sure you could take 100 people and say, should we spend X amount of dollars on this thing here? And the vast majority might say no. Or could you tell me a little bit more information, right?
You want to know? Yep. You want to know what I feel about Doge? I hope they do a great job.
Right. Yeah.
I hope that they do a great job. I hope that when this thing's all over, we've saved and we've cut out a lot of this fraud. I can't say that I trust everything that they're doing. I can't say, that I'm wholly on board with all this power that they have, but I hope they do a good job.
I heard.
Because, at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for, right?
Right.
We want this thing to work.
I heard a
And
pretty neat interview on Fox with about a 30-minute interview with Elon and a whole bunch of his team. And the reason I watched it is because I don't want to hear the sound bites from the other news anchors. I don't want to hear about what I'm supposed to be told about it. I wanted to hear what they had to say. Just because they said it doesn't mean it's all true, right? But if you listen to a lot of it, they say no. They're going to tell you we're cutting Medicaid and Medicare, but we sit here before you today and tell you that we are making cuts there, but we're not cutting it. We're not taking it from people, right? They sat there and said our whole initiative is for that little 9-year-old lady to make sure she does get her check, or more than she should get in the past, because we're going to get rid of fraud, abuse, and waste. I mean, and that doesn't mean that these guys aren't lying and they're making, one of them was an oil tycoon, one of them was the Airbnb tycoon, one of them is Elon and a group of guys. And a lot of them sat there and said, hey, I have kids and a wife at home, I have grandkids. Like, I'm not here to make myself more wealthy. So I guess what
right.
I'm saying is, I'm with you a little bit, Jimmy. I'm very optimistic. I'm hopeful, right? Because I was hopeful in the past with whatever administration was in there. I was hopeful that they're going to do right by the American people that they're paid to serve.
So listen, this is the first time that I can remember where the establishment is being taken on, right? Like where this status quo of, oh, you guys, you vote for us, but we're going to take care of everything. Don't worry about it. Just go about your business. We need your votes. But so this is the first time where I feel like someone is going in and saying, you know what, we're not going to do this. We can't because I mean, we just can't keep spending more than we're. You just can't do it,
Yeah.
right? You can't do it on the personal level.
Or even
You can't. So that is where I see some optimism. But again, with how crazy bipartisan, left and right this country has become, it's hard to trust or believe either side. And take that a step further. When you hear this stuff coming out, I think we all need to get better at these sensationalized, topics and headlines where, oh my God, they're over there, they're killing, whatever it may be. Take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of people see that headline and then they, cut, copy, paste, put it on their social media and just jam it out to their friends, and everybody gives them a like because they all think, oh yeah, that's how we're supposed to think.
right.
I mean,
That's why I try to listen.
it's just
And that's why I try to
like
listen to that interview, because I was like, I want to hear what they have to say, right? A lot of the times people are like, did you hear what they said? And they'll tell me what they said. And they're all regurgitating. We all know it. You got to do some deep research, or you got to get on one of these sites that's giving you the information before you see it on channel whatever. So it's frustrating.
I love watching Channel Whatever. It's one of my favorite channels.
It's my favorite channel.
I love it.
The more I go
Whatever.
around the channel horns, though, I literally feel like the more truth I get, the more channels I listen to, I literally feel like they're all watchdogging each other. It's almost become effective. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so against each other. I'm learning about the other one more than what I'm listening to them say. It's freaking unbelievable. And I'll agree with you. I agree that this is the first time. It feels like one of the first times that the establishment's been tested or pushed, because never before have I ever been shared with any shape or form about what we're spending money on and where. Right? I feel like it's always been a closed door. Now, there is a lot to say. You know, they also sat in this interview and said, in the grand scheme of things, we've actually laid off very like a few couple percent. And you know, and to me, if you ask me, from what I've heard, half the government's been fired.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, I'm going off of what I hear, and they could be
Right.
sitting there. They might be insulting to people. If 500,000
Right,
people.
and listen. I mean, everybody has their own. I mean, everybody's the main character of their own story, right? So, like, if that one person that got fired, they're telling everybody they've ever met that the government's just ripping everybody apart, right? And so
Yeah.
you can't, I mean, but I think all of that it depends on where you're getting your information
Right.
from, how
And
you react to those numbers, and what those numbers actually are.
and I guess my question at the end of the day, it continues to be: Are we were we really okay with it just continuing, spending more than we make? Like, And I mean, if you
No.
watch some of those clips of like Barack sitting there in his first couple of weeks, or even before I think he got in office, being like, having stacks of paper around him, being like, we have to make these cuts. There's billions of waste. This is Barack, like day one. I'm not saying he didn't, he got a lot of people out of this country and he cut a lot of stuff, but in fractions of what they're doing now. And apparently what they're doing right now isn't even that grand. So, I don't know. I'll stop there. I'm not extremely
Yeah,
educated on.
I'll tell you, Brett. That's a nice, robust topic to just kick in at the end of the show, man. I got gymnastics to get to. I got some different responsibilities, but I enjoy
Just
the
trying to
back and
talk
forth,
about things that affect our lives as modern
which I
guys.
love. Which I love. I do. Maybe mid episode would be a better show. I'm just saying.
But man, I'm in the middle still. I'm for neither crazy group. I want to believe, and I
I
know that
think
we all
I
have
think
more to agree on than we have to disagree on, friends.
100%. I think we need to open up a breakfast restaurant here in Crestwood, and we need to call it In the Middle Grill. And it's like no politics here. We're in the middle griddle.
Hey,
Let's do
in
it.
the middle grill. That's good.
You guys up?
I do have a new event to talk about. I like in the middle grill. April 23rd. Jimmy, take over, buddy.
April 23rd. What's happening April 23rd?
Abington Concord Historical Society.
Oh, Sabington Concord Historical Society. We have our meeting. No, way to put me on the spot there, Brad.
So it's I don't know. We're gonna share. The important thing is everybody gets that date, and on that date you open your afternoon up. Just plain and simple. We'll come with location and exact times. But we need anybody listening to this podcast means you're probably in the Crestwood, Sabington, Concord area, and we have an opportunity to go to a really neat invite afternoon, evening affair with the Sabington Concord Historical Society, where they talk about local history in our neighborhood, and then you get to learn all about the historical society that serves our local community and is looking for some new life to be breathed into it. And we can share
100%.
We can share more on that, but it's a really, really great local thing here in Crestwood, and we're looking for people to come turn out and sign up. It's cheap, it's affordable. We're going to try and get a link online soon. But if you get a chance, Google Sabington Concord Historical Society, learn a little about it. There is a website out there, a Facebook page, and it's our backyard beauty, baby.
Absolutely. Good call on that, bro. Yep, 23rd of April.
Yeah.
I think it's in the evening, but I'll get it up. We'll get all the information to you. It's great. It's a great organization. Like Brett said, history right here in our community. We're hoping there's a little farmhouse right up the street. We want to make sure that we can serve and turn that into something that this community is going to be proud of, and be able to display some of our archives. Really turn it into something great for the community.
Right.
Nice. Well, let's cheers out. Jimmy's got to get to gymnastics. Brett's got to fix the government, and I got to get work on dinner.
Peace. Clickety clickety.
Cheers.
Later, boys.
Out.